Yeah, so we're all here. We all made it.
All right.
We survived.
Right.
All 5 back together again.
Oh, I feel like there's a song that we could break out into, like Spice Girls or something.
Just
Don't they?
the 5 of us.
We
I'll tell
can
you what,
make it
I'm
if we try. Just the 5 of us.
Just the 5 of us.
Just.
Did you miss this?
I did.
Or what, no, wait. Is Backstreet Boys 5?
Yes.
Backstreet's back.
All right. Oh my gosh, we're back again.
Go ahead, Cam.
Brother, sisters, better tell your friends.
Gonna bring the flavor, gonna show you how.
Got a question
for you, better answer now. Yeah. Am I original?
Yeah.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Am I sexual?
Yeah.
Am I everything you need? You better watch your body now.
Everybody.
Yeah. Rock your body. He's the auto-tuned one.
Welcome back to Five's the Crowd. What a freaking night, guys.
What the hell just happened?
What a hoot and a half.
We're starting off late, but all 5 of us have made it.
Yay.
We're all here. We're all back.
Welcome back.
The crowd's
Disappeared.
The crowd's back together.
back.
The Zach is back.
Your favorite one is back.
No more, no longer a group.
You're somebody's favorite.
I
Yeah,
know.
that was what it was, huh? 4 as a group. That's what we were titled the last 2 episodes.
Four's a group.
Yeah, we were rebranding.
It wasn't as catchy.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been 2 months. No, it hasn't been 2 months. It's been at least a month and a half though since I
I
last
feel
saw
like
you.
it's been about 2 months, actually.
Feels like it's been a long time. A lot to catch up on.
Yes.
So let's do that. Let's catch up. Let's share some stories. What's in the news? What's going on in our lives? Cam almost died.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
I wish it was a joke.
Personal news, right? Or real
Yeah,
news?
yeah, yeah.
I
Let's
mean,
just
both.
Let's share.
But-
What's been going on in your lives, guys?
But yeah, we had to call 911 at like this was right that night after we stopped. We were done filming the last time we filmed.
Oh, for men try?
Yeah,
Really?
it was that night.
Oh, snap. So you got home late?
Yeah, and I got home and Shaylee had a headache, and when I walked in the house, it immediately smelled weird chemically, and so
So you
No
walked
wonder
in.
she had a headache.
That's
You
what I was
walked in
thinking.
and she was immediately
Yeah.
like, "Don't even look at me like that. I've got a headache."
no, like, she actually was texting me right before, and she's like, "The house smells weird. Like, I don't feel good."
Oh my gosh.
So I get home, I immediately smell it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And that same day, I had a headache like all morning that wouldn't go away. And
Was it happening that early in the day?
Yeah.
So they
apparently
were in it
would have
all
been
day?
happening like 2 days, I think.
Oh my
What?
gosh.
But it had gotten worse. Like it started very small and it progressively got worse.
Wow.
And so yeah, she was in the front room. Scarlett was in the bedroom. Kaylee was with her grandma. But we ended up calling my dad first, and he's like, "Call 911." I'm like, "Oh yeah, good idea." so we called 911 because we thought it was a gas leak, and then we went out and waited in the car for them to show up, and they showed up pretty quickly. But then we went in, they pulled out like their CO sensor, and immediately we're getting numbers like 80s, 90s.
Yeah, that's bad.
And they're like, "Yeah, we're definitely getting stuff." And like, we had to open all the doors and windows and they had this giant fan that was battery powered.
Wow.
Big old thing. It was powerful too. And put that in the front door and we blasted it through the house. And so we were just blasting out all our carbon monoxide, and they checked everything. We turned off the heater that was causing the issue, and it went away. So we blasted it all out, left the heater off. We even had the power company or the gas company come out and just double check it, make sure everything was good. And yeah, we were extremely lucky that we could smell the exhaust, because had we not been able to smell it, we probably would have gone to sleep and not woken up.
Yeah, so
Crazy.
quick reminder, check the batteries in your carbon monoxide detectors as well as your smoke detectors.
Yeah.
Yup.
And if you don't have a carbon monoxide detector, get
Get
one.
one.
It's a silent killer.
It really is. Like, there's literally nothing. Like, again, we were lucky in that because the furnace was incorrectly burning the gas, like the mixture was wrong. So it produced a smell from the exhaust. So it wasn't the carbon monoxide we were smelling. It was the exhaust of it being burned off incorrectly.
That's crazy, man. Well, I'm happy it panned out the way it did, because
Here's the wild
that
thing,
would
too,
have been
though.
the worst news ever on Christmas,
Right?
dude.
Yeah.
So Shaylee, they took her out and they do some little finger test thing, and she was like on the border of having to go to the doctor, essentially.
No way.
Yeah, I think if it's at like a 9 or 10, whatever this meter is, you have to you're supposed to go to the hospital
Dang.
and like get oxygen and stuff. She was like an 8, and Scarlett 0.
Really?
Weird.
Thank goodness.
Nothing. Yeah.
She's a superhero.
So Shaylee was sitting only 4 feet away from the thing. Scarlett was in our bedroom, and so it just somehow wasn't really making it to her.
So did Shaylee just sit outside and take like deep breath after deep breath?
Yeah,
That's what
they
I
were out
would've
there with
done.
one of the firefighters, and
I just would have been
Breathing.
Yeah, that's what I would have
Jeez.
done.
it's nuts, dude. But we're good. Everything's fixed. I have 3 carbon monoxide detectors and 3 smoke detectors.
Overkill now.
Yeah,
Which is
And
better
we
than
have
being
an entirely new furnace. So we ripped out both those old furnaces, put a new one in, and I got a smart thermostat on it.
Nice.
Got a boy.
So now I can just be like off.
That's awesome.
Before you just had to flip a switch.
Yeah, but what if I'm not home?
You just tell them to flip. Oh, you can do it from your phone?
Yeah,
That's cool.
that's what I'm saying.
All right.
I could do it right now.
Technology.
Austin could do it right now because I hear it.
I could, but
Just
where,
kidding.
do you guys feel that cold draft?
Yes.
No.
Is the front door open?
I run cold.
I don't feel nothing.
I have no insulation.
We're being
Nope.
stalked. We
Someone's like opening the door.
Don't choke. What if it's real? I'm afraid I'm gonna see eyes
Zach, go
somewhere
check the
weird.
door.
Yeah, Zach.
I ain't going to check nothing.
I'm gonna go check it actually real quick.
You're the scary one.
Timestamp.
Oh, we can keep going.
Okay, we'll keep going.
He'll be back.
Willie,
It's only like 10 feet away.
right back.
Will they make it?
Isn't
What
that
if he
rule number
doesn't come
2?
back?
Yeah.
Rule number 1 is don't get caught.
That was weird.
Different kind of thing.
on my
Kind of
legs.
rules.
That was weird.
It's the
Let's not
rules of
bring
a-
that news up.
The rules
What
of a
news?
scary movie.
The Dexter finale news.
I think it's
Yeah.
worth a discussion.
Oh,
Unless-
dude.
Are you ever going to watch it?
Negative
No,
Ghost
we were
Rider.
talking about it before you came over.
Oh, well, all right then.
Yeah.
Dexter.
if
We
you
can
haven't
bring it up
seen
again.
Dexter,
Spoilers.
spoilers.
And
And we're talking the new season, not the, the
it's
original.
called Dexter New Blood.
I'm going to tell you right
Exactly.
now, if you have intentions on watching Dexter's New Blood, don't.
Oh, come on.
I mean, it wasn't.
it was good.
It was better than how Dexter originally ended.
I would have
but it wasn't
rather
better.
had Dexter ended the way it originally ended than have to deal with this ending.
No,
Why?
I disagree.
Because
Okay, plead your case, and then we'll tell you why you're wrong.
now I feel like
I mean,
I'm on the spot.
here's my take on
Yep.
it. I feel like with 10 years of time having passed, I feel like with all that time, you could have come up with a way better ending.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know what they were like. It's almost like
I feel like they did okay. So they did great on the first like 5 episodes, 6 episodes, whatever. You got to those last ones, and it's almost like they were like, we wanted to go this direction, but maybe something didn't work out, so we got to hurry and do this and this and shut it down.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's like they wasted their time and they just hurried things along just to end a season.
Yeah.
They should have at least squeezed out 2 more
They
episodes
could have.
because all the other episodes in
All
the,
the other
in the
seasons.
previous seasons were 12.
Yeah.
This one ends
Yeah.
at 10.
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like their budget was cut or something.
See, and I thought they did excellent throughout the series. I do feel like the last 1 or 2 were rushed.
I feel
to
like the
think of-
last one was really
Yeah.
rushed.
The last one was the most rushed.
It was the jail cell scene.
From
It was like going great, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, it's that time? Okay, end it. And it's like,
I was even explaining to these guys, I feel like Angela was 100% like immediate just switch. Like there was no explanation. It was immediately like, she trusted and loved Dexter, and all of a sudden the thought of him being a serial killer, she was like, "You are the devil, and I hate you."
That's
Well,
what
I mean,
the normal person would do.
yeah.
I mean,
But at the same time, it's
What a
someone that
sane
she's
person would do.
been dating and someone that she's spent her life
Like
with.
there was no
like
that was pre-killing though.
there was
I mean,
no grieving. There was no
Yeah, but
grieving.
there was
Like,
no grieving.
my
There was
boyfriend's
no-
a serial killer. What am I gonna do?
Well,
It
there was
just
no
straight,
back
just-
and forth. Like,
But see-
I don't want to believe this. Or
She had the Band-Aid ripped off for one. He was a completely different person. He wasn't Jim Lindsay.
Yeah,
He was Dexter Morgan. So she found
But-
that out immediately.
I felt like she was a dick about that too.
Yeah.
He came up with
They-
a really good explanation.
They were sitting there in their office, and I was literally looking at Jess. I'm like, are women really like this?
She was lied to, bro.
He came
I
up
mean,
with
like-
a great explanation about how he wanted to leave that life behind. He didn't want to be Dexter Morgan because Dexter Morgan, death followed Dexter Morgan.
That's because he was a serial killer.
I know that.
She
But
didn't know that at
she
the
didn't
time.
know that at the time. And he tried explaining all the bad stuff and he wanted to start fresh. And so his old life, Dexter Morgan, was pushed behind. So why would I come here and tell you, oh, hi, I'm Jim Lindsay. By the way, I used to be known as Dexter Morgan. No.
Yeah.
She was like mad about
I
that.
thought
and I'm
she
like,
was a bit ridiculous.
yeah.
if you were under like the what is it, protective,
Yeah.
what's
Witness protection.
witness
protection,
protection?
yeah.
Thank you. You wouldn't go around saying,
That
"Hey,
would've
my
been a
name's
good
Jim,
excuse,
but my
too.
real name's Dexter." Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of the same concept.
True. There definitely were things rushed. One thing I didn't like quite understand is how Kurt
Uh-huh.
thought to go, oh, I'm going to go to the incinerator to find screws from my son who was murdered.
Yeah.
It's the ash. It was
Well,
the
yeah.
ash in the.
But like,
Yeah.
why would your first thought be like, oh, that must be my dead son's body burning in the furnace?
I don't think it was. I think it was the ash just made him think, "What the hell is burning?" And so he went to the thing and then saw the screws.
Why would he care?
I don't know.
Even still beyond that point, it still made me mad how she immediately thought, because she knew that it was arson on his house, but yet she immediately goes, I found these screws in the rubble. And he's like,
That was
they were
impressive.
left
Impressive
there.
police work.
yeah,
right
well,
there.
and but he even told her though, he's like, they were left there. This was arson. You can tell I'm being set up. Nope, you're the killer. No,
and
how
here's-
can you
Turn
tell?
around.
It was
think-
lined up perfectly.
I think this is the biggest problem with it is it just like Game of Thrones in a very short season it's left all these new player arcs and then disregarded them at the very end and
Yeah.
then bam and you're like
See,
what?
and I thought I even called that was what was going to happen.
It's such garbage.
what you're
I
saying.
think. Sorry. Go ahead.
I interrupted you.
Oh.
Go for it, and then I'll say what I was going to say.
I think if they had more episodes to where they could have had Dexter teach Harrison more about the code and maybe even have him, go out
Give
and,
it a shot.
and give it a shot and pursue his dark passenger and all that stuff. Like study up on somebody, make sure he fits the code, then do it. So that then when Dexter broke the code, Harrison would have that moral obligation to have to take his dad out, because then his dad also could have convinced the chief that, it's not me, I'm not the murderer. They let him go. He gets away with it. Now Harrison's like, well, according to the code, I have to kill you because you killed the coach who was a good person. And, it's against the code. I need to stop you. And how poetic would it have been for Dexter to wake up saran wrapped to a table
I would have
Yeah.
enjoyed that a lot more.
in a wall, plastic walled room with his son crying with the knife as he stabbed him.
Well, see, and so again, with the player arcs not being fulfilled, right? You've got the police chief, his ex-girlfriend. Her character was kind of built for no real reason.
Exactly.
You've got
Other than to be a
coach.
complete biatch.
She had
You
a
got-
lame, sad face too. Anyways,
Yeah, she did. The coach also.
Which one?
I hope you guys are tuning in on video because that's hilarious. That is a
I
good
missed
sad
who you're
face.
talking about there.
the police chief, his girlfriend.
Oh,
Got a lame sad face.
You got you've got
bothered me.
Harrison, even his player arc, you don't really get to know what happens to him.
Right? I mean,
Right.
he freaking slashes a kid in the freaking
thigh.
thigh to see him bleed out. and then later he gets mad that his dad killed a murderer.
Right?
I don't know. There was a lot.
The only
left
thing
to
that
be wanted.
semi like brought it together was when it was like reading the letter at the end, and it said like let me die so my son can live or something like that. It's like, okay, those words right there kind of like made it poetic and brought it together, but
See,
not enough.
And I'll say it on here on the podcast because I know we talked about it earlier, but I still feel like the best thing. And and the other player arc that didn't come to fruition was Batista.
Yeah.
The whole conversation
yeah.
with Batista. Why?
There
why
was no
did you even
point.
need to
And then him
include
going,
that?
I'm on my way up.
The
What
last
a
episode,
tease.
not even, yeah, it
pulls
was
out
pointless.
the Maria LaGuerta folder stacked with all kinds of
You're
information.
like- so I was expecting all this to go into basically he was going to be confronted by Batista.
Yep.
They were going to have to go through all the court findings, Bay Harbor Butcher case was going to be reopened. They were going to, Dexter was going to basically try and avoid the death penalty. But in my mind, they end up convicting him. And it would have been super poetic, like you said, in the courtroom to have all the pictures of his victims up as they slam the gavel down and convict him guilty of murder and, kill him,
Give him the needle.
get him the death penalty.
The ketamine.
But as they're doing that, they tell him and Harrison are in conversation. They're trying to keep a relationship, but he's teaching him all the odd jobs and how to do things and take care of himself and how to handle his dark passenger. And then it's like a neat little handoff to Harrison.
to a new show.
And then Dexter becomes his ghost or his imagination friend.
Unless there's going to be another season, which as of right now, there is no talks
I don't think
on
they
another
wanted
season.
to. Like the whole purpose of this was to just end it again.
Which I think is stupid.
From what you guys are saying,
I still really enjoyed it, and I think it was way better than the original ending.
Nah.
Yeah.
Up to episode 9 was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Episode 10 was just trash.
sounds like when I used to write an essay and I get bored of it, so I'd hurry and finish it in high school. That's what you guys are just describing.
It's
exactly
your
it.
writing starts getting bigger and more spaced. Like
You start double spacing mid page.
Yeah,
Trying to
exactly.
get it finished.
I will say it was a good season up until the last episode. It was. It really was.
well,
It
and
was
even the
kinda
last
cool.
episode, it started out great.
Yeah. It was cool to see where Dexter had gone to and why he kind of did what he did, some of the things that he did. But at the same time, it's like I was saying earlier, I came to grips of how the season
Well, yeah, 'cause
8
it
or
was a
whatever
decade
ended.
ago.
Exactly. You come to grips with it, you accepted it.
You couldn't do anything else.
I didn't think it was as bad as what everybody thought it would be. You know, I thought, hey, you know what? It did piss me off that, yeah, he left What's Her Bucket and Harrison to leave, and he just took off somewhere else. And
In argument to you though specifically, you watched it later in the game after you were already told, careful, the finale sucks, and so you probably went
It's
into
true.
it with low expectations.
I did expect low expectations, so I didn't hurt me as much. But this one, I think, hurt me more than that one did. Just because I think
You
because
have higher expectations.
You were more invested.
expectations. Yeah.
And we
Also-
had higher expectations.
Also, how long was it into the series before you realized they were in New York and not like Canada?
They say New York almost right out the gate.
It,
I
it,
missed
Wait,
it.
it was
what?
like 3 or 4 episodes
They're
in for me.
in like upstate New
Yeah.
York.
I thought they were
the
in
whole
Canada.
time.
I thought they were in Alaska, actually.
No way. I thought they were in Canada.
See?
Yeah.
I freaking told you.
No,
Because they talked about going down to New York.
Yeah.
No.
They
New
literally-
York, the city.
Oh, what a bunch of crap.
They're
Yeah,
up
they were-
north
they
in
were
this
upstate,
massive
like Canada
forest.
border.
That's just because you see a town like that covered in snow and everybody's like bundled up. You immediately think,
Hey.
Canada, Alaska,
Yep.
Antarctica.
They were in Iron Lake, New York.
Oh, Iron Lake's a real place?
Yeah, I looked it up.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's literally in the middle of a giant forest.
That's cool.
So it is like super off the grid.
Anyway,
It's wild.
I say we move on.
I still liked it.
I mean, I did. I liked all the way up through episode 9 that the trophy room reveal in episode 9 was bananas.
Right? That was
Holy
insane.
that
I would have
was-
liked more explanation about the podcast lady, how she ended up.
Yeah,
there.
right. Because that was also another player arc that just randomly ended.
Yep.
Well, because
Just out of nowhere.
I literally saw that and I was like, did I miss like an entire episode?
Yeah.
I thought the exact same thing. I was like, when did she
I
die?
was like, because last time I saw her, they were talking about Jim talking about Dexter, and then now she's just dead and stuffed.
I kind of thought the same thing, but then I was like, no, I had literally binged episode 3 through 9 in one day. And so
3 through 9 in a single day. Wow,
I
you
did.
6 hours?
I
Dude,
did.
we were watching every Sunday. We watched the new episode.
Us too.
I got so far behind, and then it was the Monday after New Year's. I had off of work, and we literally had nothing to do. So I started like 1 o'clock, and I just started going.
See, for me, I was so planning on the path where they were going to set it on Kurt because he had emptied his safe with his money, his gun, everything. It's like they could kill him, burn his body, tell people where the other people are. Looks like he skipped town after killing off the podcast girl and everybody else. But then Dex has to go and kill the coach. And it's like, you just effed everything up.
Again, another player arc that didn't come to fruition.
See,
They was literally in 90% of the show, and then they kill him. And for what?
The
And
coach.
Also, Kurt. Are you?
That's what I'm talking about. Is Kurt.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the
for
other
what?
thing that made me mad too about Angela is she's all worried about Dexter, this and that because he's a serial killer. But you've got Kurt, and she's like, I don't give two craps about you. I'm
care about
going
this
after
guy that
Dexter.
Killed
Like what?
40 women and stuffed them.
Yeah, in my own hometown for the past 25 years.
Yeah,
But-
and the
including
excuse,
your best friend.
and the excuse for your house being burned down by arson and having those screws in there does not make any sense.
Exactly.
I got a letter from a murderer that says you're a murderer.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, enough. Sorry, if you can't
I
tell.
will say though, like that first couple, I think it's the first couple episodes when he breaks his abstinence from murder.
yeah.
When he hits the guy in the face, and you're like, yeah.
Oh, I
Take him out.
I looked at Jess and I was like, "This feels right."
I loved watching the build up too. As like every little thing was like picking at him, and you could just see it, and he's like, "Oh, he's gonna mess some shit up." Like,
Yeah, I literally was like, I leaned over and I was like, "This feels right. I'm back home. This is great."
my thing I was mad at is I called the guy that was shooting the teens, who ended up being. I called it like right out the gate.
Because of
I
his
did too,
eyebrows.
actually.
His eye.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not his eyebrow, but just the extra skin above the eye. I was like,
You know
that's
what it
his
was
eye.
for me?
Yeah.
Like,
He's the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob.
yeah.
I have seen
He's in a bunch of stuff.
a lot of SpongeBob.
He's in.
And so when he was putting on his hood and making just little grunt noises, I was like, that's Mr. Krabs. I called it right
Krabs the
there.
murderer.
He's got a good voice. He does.
he plays a bad guy in a lot of things, so that's another reason.
Yep.
All right. As you can tell, we're a bit passionate and a little
Now
bit
that
pissed
we've ranted for a half hour.
Yes.
about Dexter.
Good rant.
But
Poor
anything-
Chris
what else is
hasn't
going on
even
in
seen
our lives?
Dexter.
I mean, heck, while we're on the subject, yeah, any other TV shows or movies you guys have gotten into?
None yet.
I finished Squidgame.
Oh,
That was
have
good.
you all watched it?
Nope.
I love.
I watched
Squid
You
Game.
it.
haven't watched it?
Nope.
I watched it for the games. I was like, I want to see this.
That's an eerie show. It's
and
eerie.
then I got vested into the story. I was like, okay, this is actually.
It is. It's surprisingly like captivating.
Yeah.
That one chick though, I could kill her.
Oh my
myself.
gosh! Kill her in every game. Like,
Yeah, she should
Oh,
have. She
man.
should have died long time ago.
I love that I could just say that one girl out
Oh,
of
we
the
all know.
400 contestants. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
See, and I watched it dubbed, and the voice was annoying. I can only imagine though, even watching it with her natural voice, I still would have been angry at her.
Yeah.
I watched it dubbed too, and seeing the first 1 or 2 episodes, it was throwing me off. But then all of a sudden, I didn't even notice.
Then you get used to it.
Your
and you're like,
your brain's like, it's good.
Well, all of a sudden,
They just move their mouths funny. When
I
they talk,
regress
that's
back
all.
to my childhood watching old Jackie Chan movies and stuff. Like,
Dude, Rumble in the Bronx.
yeah, buddy, I love that.
The Witcher's good.
Witcher's
Oh, yeah.
good.
Oh, The Witcher.
Gotta
Season
watch
2,
that.
finish that.
Dude, my one
It's
gripe.
good. Ah,
My one gripe with The Witcher season 2. He looked depressed the whole time.
he's a Witcher.
Yeah, but in the game, he's not like.
He doesn't look. He just is more serious in this one.
Isn't it Superman?
He's concerned and
Yeah.
sad the whole
Isn't that-
time.
what's his
That was
name?
my
Henry
only thing.
Cavill.
I was
Yeah.
like, cheer up, man.
It's
like, just
Yennefer.
give me a
'cause of Yennefer.
stern, angry face. That's all I
Yennefer
want
takes
from
it
him.
out of you. That's just what it. That's just it.
Yeah, and she's not as hot as she is in the game either.
Let's say
That's true.
It's true, dude. Those developers over at CD Projekt Red did real good on her.
They messed up Triss too, which pisses me off.
Yeah.
But she did get red hair. At the end, they're like, "Oh,
What was
what happened?"
Changed.
what was it first? Was it a game or a book?
Game.
It's a book.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
It's a book.
By a Polish author, isn't it?
Or
Like-
Norway,
Think almost
Norwegian.
Norwegian.
Think almost like George R. R. Martin, but wrote a Polish book. So it's like super in depth and intricate, and there's all this stuff. And so they took that and turned it into a video game. And the most popular one that everyone really plays is the third game.
Wild Hunt.
Yeah.
So there's whole other games that have a ton of story in them, but the third game is the one that everyone knows and
Well,
plays.
that's when it finally took fire. But I had to go watch all the cutscenes of the first two.
Me too.
Did you? Yeah, because it's a cool story. It really is.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I like it. The series is fun.
Henry Cavill's the man.
They got some money backing it too.
The next 007.
Dude, and he
Is it confirmed?
No.
he is such a nerd.
I got you so excited though.
Dude, I hope so. But yeah, Henry
it comes to
Cavill
it.
is a huge nerd. One, he wanted to do The Witcher because he's read the books and played the games.
Nice.
And
Oh,
so
cool.
he apparently on set would correct people
Yeah.
about the lore of the show.
That's
and everything.
awesome.
Yeah. He's
Oh,
invested.
that's awesome.
Also turns out he's way into Warhammer. Do any of you know what that is?
Yeah.
No.
So Warhammer, it's like a tabletop. Think like Dungeons and Dragons meets StarCraft. Do you know what StarCraft is?
Yes.
Do you know what Dungeons and Dragons is?
Yes.
See, you got it. Why are you looking confused?
I don't
So
understand.
it's a tabletop game.
He's
okay,
Witcher.
right?
He's concerned.
They got like
didn't
they
think-
have like a little field, and you have these little miniature
I didn't
armies.
think StarCraft was a tabletop game.
It's
Think
not.
of the real
It's a-
time
it's-
strategy.
Yeah, real time strategy.
So
okay.
you literally have like these little armies of these little minifigures, and you're strategizing, kind of throwing risk. You know what? Throw risk
Okay,
in
there
there.
you
Okay. And that's you're playing in this big thing, right?
So you're sitting there for weeks upon weeks, probably playing.
Yeah.
Don't
you could
touch
come
the
back.
board.
Exactly. But he's like way into it. He plays it. He builds minifigures and paints them and everything.
Wow.
I didn't know that at all
Yeah.
about Henry Cavill. When does he squeeze in the gym for those abs?
He's doing it while he's working out.
Man.
He like comes up from the bench and he moves his piece and he goes back down.
That's awesome.
Okay, so
I
let
love
me
that
ask
guy.
this. Is he a better Superman or Witcher?
He's
Both.
Yeah.
He makes both characters.
He's a good actor, man.
Honestly,
plays
he
it off.
really is. I feel like he's underestimated.
I thought he'd be a good Batman. Even though he's already Superman, he'd be a good Batman.
You see him play with himself.
That is not Batman.
only when I dream. Because he's a god
That's
of a
Robin.
man. He is a god of a man. He's a stud.
Physique is fantastic.
Fantastic.
Fine specimen of a man.
Dude, he'd be good in
Perfect
300.
example of what God can create.
But fun side story. I saw my friend sent me a video today. And it's a scene from I think it's the last Mission Impossible.
Yes.
Remember how he's
Oh,
in
yeah.
it?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And there's that part where he's like when he shows his true colors that he's
Yeah.
he's not one of them. And he's in the cell beating up that one guy, and Alec Baldwin comes in and like pulls the gun on him, and Henry Cavill turns around, grabs the gun, and pulls the trigger. And then Alec Baldwin, he's like, well, you failed the test. And then he pulls out another gun. He's like, do you think this one's loaded? Do you want to find out? And he sent it to me because of that. Because of what happened with Alec Baldwin on set with the gun. And I was like, no!
That's hilarious.
Oh,
And sad.
it was funny.
Oh.
Like, I've seen this one.
Don't. It's real.
That one hurts
man.
my heart. I have I think we talked about it before. I have a soft spot for Alec Baldwin. I do.
He's got a lot of soft spots too.
Well, yes.
Because he's old, pruny.
That dude's been through some shit. Just looks like it. You know what I mean? Like every time you see him, like what?
It's funny if
What
you look
happened
at
to
like
you
his
now?
older stuff when he did a lot of action movies compared to now, you would never guess it's the same person.
No, no.
Oh, in the news too, Betty White passed
Yeah.
at 99.
Right? How nuts is that? Well, it was New Year's Eve.
They're all talking about her
It was
birthday.
on
and
the
everything.
31st.
She actually
Yeah.
suffered a stroke a week beforehand.
Dang.
survived it.
Autopsy came back. Yeah, she had a stroke. About 5-6 days beforehand.
Really? Dang, I didn't know how
Yeah.
she
Jeez.
passed, but
That's pretty much
thought-
what caused it. She had a stroke.
I thought she died on New Year's Day.
No, it was
No,
New
New
Year's
Year's
Eve.
Eve.
Oh,
It was
really?
the
Yeah.
31st.
So the
Didn't even make it to 2022.
2021 needed.
And she was 14 days away from her birthday.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, from hitting 100.
She's going to meet the rest of the Golden Girls.
On a less sad note, Bob Saget also died.
That's still pretty
That's
sad.
That's sad.
Dude,
But
he's
not
a good
as
comedian.
sad. Not as sad as Betty White.
Yeah, but the way you say it, you're like,
On a lesser.
if you, Bob Saget, hope you're on hell.
You know,
You know,
it's
I
it's
suck
funny
dick.
about Bob Saget, like looking into a lot of things. I thought, in all honesty, that he kind of was a terrible guy.
That's what
Like,
I've always heard.
I had always
don't
heard
know.
these stories about him being a terrible guy, like constantly, like
It's
like,
just because you think of Danny Tanner and he's a
Oh,
comedian,
right. Of course.
a dirty
and
comedian.
I've heard his stand up, and his stand up is raunchy.
Yeah, it's way bad.
But
it's bad, but I laugh.
listening to these stories and going over a lot of like what the actors have had to say about him, apparently he was a real genuinely nice guy. And I always thought differently of him for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah,
the drugs.
I get that. I get that. But like Betty White is almost like a piece of America.
She's
you know
a
what I
national
mean?
treasure. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
She's
sure.
an American sweetheart.
She's America's grandma.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I feel like that's
Like we all lost a grandma. You know, like she's been.
Bob Saget was
The
America's
proposal,
dad.
her and the proposal
true.
was
I
hilarious.
mean,
That's true. He was.
he was America's dad. He was Dan
Stepdad.
Tanner.
He was
so-
America's stepdad. Ryan Reynolds is Canada's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's our dad?
No, he's Canada's daddy.
George Washington.
George Washington and Betty White. There we go.
I was gonna say Sean Connery, but it's like no, that's not America either.
He's a knight. He got
Scottish.
knighted.
He's Scottish.
Jim King. Oh, nope, he's Canadian too.
You know, I was
Hugh Jack. Oh,
I was
Australia.
listening. Does anybody good come out of America?
Tom Cruise.
Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
I take
There we
that
go.
one.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a
Yes,
good
I take that
I do
one.
like
Alright.
some Tom Cruise movies, but don't be throwing his name out there.
He's crazy.
Real
Yeah.
quick, on just talking about actors, because I
the
keep
crazy
forgetting
uncle.
to bring it up. I saw this preview for a movie called The Sun, and I can't remember what streaming service it's on, but it's got James McAvoy in it. And it's the first time in cinema history the main actor has no script. He is 100% improving his entire role.
Really?
Like he knows the storyline, but his entire dialogue is improv.
What
And who
about
is
the
it?
other people?
The other people are scripted, so it's like he's feeding off of them. So he's kind of like being thrown a bone here and there, but otherwise he has no lines.
But they'd
That's
have to have
interesting.
some sort of
I mean,
freedom, because if he goes off the rails, how do they bring it back?
Yeah,
I
that
don't
doesn't
know.
make any sense.
You can take more than
I
one
want to
take.
go in and I want to watch it. It looks really
Who's the
good.
actor who's doing it?
James
James
McAvoy.
McAvoy.
I was gonna
He's
say
the
there's
main.
there's
He's
probably
he's phenomenal.
Honestly, probably my number one most underrated actor is James McAvoy.
big time.
Hands down.
yeah.
That dude is incredible.
Who's James McAvoy?
He played young Xavier in the X-Men.
Oh yeah, he's good. He's
yeah.
way
played
good.
Yeah.
He's
Also,
Unwanted.
What was that?
Yeah, you
That
guys-
one where
Split.
Split. Did you see
Yeah,
Split?
yeah. He's
He
crazy.
played the
deserved it.
multiple personalities, which he
Yeah.
deserved.
He deserved an Academy Award for
Yes.
that one. Oh man.
Because if you watch
Dude,
behind
Split
the
was
scenes,
That's what I was
creepy.
thinking it was.
they
Yeah.
were saying how crazy it was behind the scenes. Because
Yeah.
it wasn't like they were just cut, take, cut, take, cut, take. It was like he was just doing it on a just click of a finger.
Yeah, he's good.
just immediately switching his personalities in between people and stuff.
That's so cool.
But yeah.
But
I want
I'm curious to see how that goes.
I want to see it.
Yeah. It's
The
gonna
only
be a
thing I
lot of
can think
editing.
of with that is that they probably had said, you are going to, you do whatever you want as far as your lines go, but this is your
motivation.
direction.
Or they
You
probably
know?
take so many takes and he just goes different directions with it, and then
Yeah.
they choose which take they want.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe,
And
yeah.
it's
Give
giving
him-
a lot to it.
That's why I want to see
They
the
give
movie.
him a direction
but-
so that way he's not going too far off the rails.
Well, they
but-
give him a storyline, like probably a pretty in depth of how it goes, and then
Yeah.
let him play off of that. But I mean, I bet they take a bunch of takes and they go from there. And then who knows where that could? That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
What's the name of that movie?
I thought it was called The Son, S-O-N, because it's about his son getting kidnapped.
That'll be interesting.
But
That's crazy.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Curious, it's called My Son.
My Son, okay.
When does it come out?
I think it's out, but I don't know.
Yeah, it says,
I saw the
it says
preview.
2021, so it already came out. Wow.
What streaming service is it on?
Well, that doesn't mean it's already came out.
2021.
It's 2022 now.
I get that, but there's a lot of
2021
movies.
already happened.
Are you on IMDb?
Carry the
Shut up,
four.
Cam. Math. Are you on IMDb?
Yes, I am.
So there are times, yes, it was made in 2021, but doesn't mean it was released in 2021. It could have been pushed back.
Nobody, they don't tell you.
Yes, they do.
They tell you by release date.
No, they don't.
Okay, it says on their release date 2021.
When is the release date?
2021.
What was the day? What was the day? Does it have
I
a
haven't
date?
found it yet.
Man, you're getting cammed. You're getting cammed, Cam.
No, I'm correct.
Well, I know, but
Look at this. We
not
got
always right
the
either.
movie nerds popping on their phones.
by the way,
I knew it was
I
already
saw the
out.
preview
I
for
just-
the new Batman
Anyway.
too, and I didn't want to see it.
November 3rd, 2021. Suck it.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for the new Batman.
It looks pretty good.
It looks decent.
Yeah,
I don't
Robert,
like.
I'm not a fan of Robert.
I'm not
a
either.
fan of Robert Pattinson.
especially when you see him like fully
Emo,
in the Batman
emo
suit.
Robert. I'm
Ooh, what
not
about
big
Colin
on
Farrell though as
Catwoman.
Penguin? You don't even recognize him. I was like,
Get that,
holy
dude.
dang!
That's a completely different person.
I saw a meme where it was like, just give him the Oscar now. Like, it's like, holy
Like there,
crap.
I look at him and I'm like, there's nothing about you that makes me think of Colin Farrell
Not at all.
at all.
Is there anything else in the news, or do we want to hop onto this
could be
really
such a
awesome
better
question
Batman,
that I
though?
came across?
Go for it.
You guys ready?
Let's do it.
What do you got? Zach, you got any final closing arguments?
Do you want
I
to?
don't see where it's been released.
I just told you.
I saw it was November 3rd.
Yeah, but I didn't see it in theaters. I don't see it on any
Just
it
streaming
wasn't,
sites.
it wasn't a theater
it was
show.
just straight to
Okay,
streaming.
then I don't see any streaming sites either.
Just because you don't
What was
see
it, the
it
indie
doesn't
film?
mean
You
it
can watch
doesn't
it on the
exist.
Roku channel right now.
The Roku channel?
Yeah.
I feel like it would be on more than that.
Nope, it's just says Roku channel. Watch now for free.
Well, let's see about that. Let me
All
open up
watch
my
opens.
Roku app.
Roku channel free.
Amazon Prime, Vudu.
All right, boys. We've buried this.
Shut up, Tony. You're not helping me.
Okay. Now, I feel like this is extremely relevant just because it was in the news, and I do think it's extremely intriguing. So this is a real case situation, and I felt like
I wanted to win that
hypothetically,
so bad.
are you listening to me, Zach?
I'm listening now. Yes, I'm sorry.
What did I say?
Nothing. I don't know
Yeah,
because I
that's
was
right.
wanting to win that
You need
so
to get
bad.
one of those chalk
big fights
erasers
I
to
can't
throw
win.
at him. We need a chalk
That's
eraser.
a lie. Anyways,
All right, so
No,
because
it's, what is it? Close your mouth, open your ears.
Quiet Wolf.
because we're talking about the news, I felt like this was very like something we could definitely put ourselves into, like hypothetically, like what we would do in the situation, because it's just intriguing to me. So I'll just read you the headliner, and we'll kind of just go off the rails from there. So it says, a 60-year-old truck driver is suing a Tokyo hospital, where he was born after discovering that he was accidentally switched with another newborn back in 1953. He ended up with a single poor mother, while the other baby grew up to own a real estate company under which his rich biological parents.
Oh, Those are his parents.
Yes. So his biological parents were well off, owned like a real estate company, brokerage, and the kid grew up in wealth. And because of the switch, he got paired with a low income single mother.
Well, shit happens.
And so I was sitting there, I was like,
1950 something. So this is
1953.
70 years.
Dude, I don't
Close
even
to?
know.
so what would you do in that situation?
We got to dissect this a little bit.
Like, that's so crazy and wild.
First thought that came to my mind, just because we were talking about movies, is The Count of Monte Cristo. Like, you got the rich guy and the poor guy, but the poor guy was happier than the rich guy because he was just happy with what he got.
So they grew up in Japan.
That's a movie.
Yeah.
Doesn't actually
Japanese.
happen.
Yes.
Money buys happiness.
We don't exactly know where they grew up. We just know that they were both born in Tokyo. So they could be in Japan if they stayed there.
Imagine it was a white couple go home with an Asian baby. They're like, something's off, but we love him anyway.
The Lord
Something
works
doesn't
in
add up here.
the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Austin's parents did that.
Yeah, what are you saying? We did a heritage DNA test. Those results are coming back soon, hopefully.
Honey,
Christmas is
shouldn't
gonna
his
be-
eyes open more?
Christmas is going to be weird next year.
I'm the other kid.
It's you.
No.
Your parents own a real estate business?
I wish.
Here's my thinking on that. He had no clue until when? Was it?
I mean, it doesn't give those specifics.
So let's assume.
How did he figure it out?
Let's assume, 50 years down the road that maybe he figures it out that wasn't his real parents. You know what? At that point, they were never your parents to begin with. I get it.
No, they were, though.
I get it. It's the biological parents, but at the same time, you were never with them.
He's saying the other ones.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So the one that he grew up, the poor mom that he grew up with, that is your parent.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she probably did everything that she probably could to make his life easier with what she was given. And unfortunately, that's the life he had.
At some point.
At some point,
It's-
that's the cards you were dealt and you deal with it. You can't go back now and try to sue because, I could have been richer. No. They were never they're your
know, man.
biological parents, but they were never your parents. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's
I get it. I
Like,
get
okay,
the frustration.
so
but
put yourself in that guy's
But-
position,
Yes.
right? Say even just your current situation. Say you were given to a low income family versus the family that you have now. Like, would you be mad knowing maybe your life could have been better?
Like, what if you had to drop out of high school just
like,
to
that's
help
a-
your mom make the house payment so you
Well,
don't get an education
Life
or
lessons.
anything?
No, but here's how I see it too. It's not the financial part. It's just wondering what you missed out.
exactly.
Because I don't even that there's traits that aren't taught that are biological to where maybe you clashed a little bit with that parent versus there's so many different things. There's so
Yeah.
many different
I think it would
variables to that.
depend too
Yeah.
on your relationship with the
Yeah.
person that raised you.
See, and here's the other
Does
thing
he love
too.
his mom?
Let's say
mean-
he meets up back with his biological parents. Is he going to give two craps about them, or does he just want the money?
Or is it just the money thing?
Is it the money that he's mad about? If let's say he finds out that these were actually my real parents and they have the same lifestyle that he had now, would he be causing that huge of a fuss about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That's my question. Like, does he really care that he didn't get to spend his life with his real parents?
At the same time,
Like,
that's just a banana situation.
No, it is. It
How would
is.
you know what I mean? Like,
it is, and that and
I don't know what I would do. I'd be pissed too. I really would be pissed because I never got to meet my real parents. I grew up with this lady who's poor as shit. No, just kidding. Not that, but just, I mean, just think where your life could be. You would be contemplating so many different things
it would
about your
mess
life.
you up, I think.
I think
for
so.
sure.
I think so.
I think the news of it all it would completely mess you up. But
I mean, on the other side too, if she was a single mother, you may not have had a father
Yeah.
your entire life. So
Yeah.
knowing you
That
could
you
have
could have had a father.
That
Yes.
could mess you up because
That could
growing
mess
up,
you up having a father,
I
not
could-
having a father figure.
So I
Yeah.
could see suing more on like emotional distress or like I mean
Yeah.
even though you're not
Emotional
emotional,
damage.
but for real, learning that and
it's relevant because he's Asian.
you lived somebody else's life and they lived your life,
like
but
the Prince and the Papa.
freaking crazy. That's wild.
But see,
Right?
it also
Is, dude.
comes down to like the parents. Would the parents have treated them any differently had they known they weren't their own kids?
Well, they didn't
you know. What I
know.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
but that's the thing is
Yeah.
like, if they were switched the other way, would the parents have treated that other kid any differently?
Maybe because they would have had different personalities too. So I mean that's a whole
Ripple
That's
effect.
the
Yeah.
nature versus nurture.
butterfly effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, now the parents are starting to sue the hospital because they're like, our son was a shithead. We could have had this kid.
Yeah, what if the son who was raised by the rich, successful parents is a lazy SOB that doesn't want
Flopped.
to do anything, and then you've got this other guy that he's got the determination and work ethic, but at the same now saying that out loud, maybe he's got that work ethic because he was raised by a single mom
Yeah.
and he had to step it up and do
There's
something
a lot of different variables.
I just
there.
think there's a lot more that goes into family than just blood.
I agree with you.
Oh,
100%.
100%. I mean, there are some people that, don't even claim their own father as their father, and I don't fault
And
them
like-
for that at all.
Yeah.
I feel like at 50 years old too, it's like, bro, your life's already more than halfway over. Like,
Well, 1953, he'd be 70.
He'd be
something.
70.
so it's like, oh well.
Well, that story
Right?
seems like a money grab. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that
It's like
does.
you've already been raised, and your parents are probably dead.
But I'm a very principle of the matter
Parent.
person, and you shouldn't be screwing that crap up. Like,
Oh
No,
yeah,
and that's where I mean hospitals are 10
Well,
times different nowadays than they were back in the 50s.
So when he was
But-
born, though, how old were the people? How old was the doctor? Is the doctor even alive?
it'd be the hospital though. It's the hospital's
But the
Yeah.
hospital's an inanimate object. It's
But
the
who's-
people in the hospital.
It
that
would
have
be-
to-
But the doctor, it might not have been the doctor
It
though. It's
might
when
have been
they-
the nurses or-
yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
in the 50s,
Somebody effed up.
they would have been in
For
like
sure.
their like 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20s, 30s.
So
they're
they're
100
probably
years
not even
old.
alive.
Now I'm questioning
No,
my
this
life.
is Japan.
Nobody has
They're
my eyebrows
definitely
in my
alive.
family. So
Dude, it was one of my biggest fears when
So-
Micah and Paige went into the nursing
yeah,
room.
I kept.
Oh,
Honestly-
yeah, right? You're wondering if you get the same one back.
It makes a little sense that it's coming out now because, maybe it said he was a truck driver, or did it
Yeah.
specify his profession?
a truck driver.
Yeah, I thought you said
Yeah.
truck driver.
So, depending on how this guy has gone, he could possibly still be working, maybe not close to retirement, where the other guy maybe retired in his 50s, all because of what was handed to him from the thing. So it's not so much the parents or the situation. Maybe it's now the current status. This guy's thinking, I could have retired years ago. And again, it's kind of about the money.
Yeah, but he
But-
could have effed up too. I mean, he would have been like, I don't want nothing to do with your retail. I want to be a truck driver.
Well, maybe he was a truck driver because he had no education because his single mother couldn't afford to put
But
him
maybe
through.
he didn't want to be with the business either. Now he's seen what this other kid has, and it's, I don't know.
So
Yeah, it's funny. I
So
wanna
there's
say-
7-year-old kid.
I want to say there was like a Chicago Med or Law and Order show that portrayed this exact thing. Switched at birth to different parents and then
Oh, I'm sure it's happened multiple
meeting their
times.
biological parents. And that's why I said it first, because it's like, I don't know. I get it. If it happened to me, but at the same time, like if that, here I am, almost 35. And let's say I figured out that my parents right now aren't my real parents and someone else's. Nah. I don't care who those
They'd
other.
still be your
I don't care
parents.
who those other people
Well-
are. These are the ones that raised me. They're my parents.
I get
I
that,
don't
but would
care
you
if
still
they're
be
blood.
upset though? Would you be like, what the hell happened? Like, how do you mess it up that bad?
I get it. Yeah, I would be upset that happened, but at the same time,
I think the what if would be a
It's-
slight
I think
splinter
that's-
in my brain too.
I think that's where I would be more upset as the what ifs.
Yeah.
What if you were a
But-
Gates or a Bezos,
Or a Musk?
and instead you're a Van Beekum?
Hey, That's a good name to have.
It is a good name. I'm totally kidding.
Just doesn't have as many zeros behind it.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying, like, okay, if we're going hypothetical, say you're a Bezos.
Yeah.
Would you sue to get a little cash grab?
I mean, even just a settlement would make you retire right now.
We don't even need to go to court.
You just give me a crap ton of money and I will stop talking about this.
Just a subtle like 10 million. And
I mean, but
10
that's
million times 100.
you can't go after the Bezos though. You got to go after the hospital.
I'd go straight for Jeff.
Jeffrey.
so
Jeffrey Bezos.
You can't go after the parents. You got to go after the hospital.
They should have known.
And they should have.
I've been bald my whole life. I look just like him.
Just so you know, Austin, those kids are definitely your kids.
Thanks, man.
right?
Hey,
Of all of our kids, your kids look more like you than
Mine
anybody.
looks like my brother.
They are freaking adorable.
I mean,
Which one?
That reminds me of the Grinch when he's like, "Honey, a baby's here. Looks just like your boss." I got a question, kind of just for our viewers too. Leave it in the comments. I'm curious. So here in our hospitals, now you have the barcode wristbands, and your baby has the matching barcode as well. And they scan you half a dozen times every time they're taking the baby, bringing it back. Like it's really hard nowadays to mess it up. So I'm curious in other countries, if you're listening from elsewhere, I'm curious how your hospitals do it. If they have a similar barcode system, or what do they do to prevent this from happening?
What if a nurse was just having a bad day and she's like, "Screw these guys."
It's like the cup game. They're like, pick a baby, any baby, pick a baby. Which one's your baby?
oh,
Everything.
that is messed
She gets
up.
fired. Pieces out.
Not only that, but she quits that day.
Yep.
She just switches some barcodes around, and I'm out.
Well,
All it takes is moving a blue beanie to a pink beanie. Bam.
Well, did you guys ever hear? Did you ever hear about that study where in the 1980s in I think it was New York, these doctors took twins and separated them at birth and put them in different families.
Oh, dang.
So one
I
stayed.
did hear about that.
One stayed, I think, with the parents, or actually, I don't know if they were up for adoption.
They put one up for adoption.
Yeah, no, they were. They were put up for adoption to two different families.
Huh.
Identical twins.
Didn't they work there without knowing that they had twins?
Oh yeah. The reason this was figured out is because two of them ended up going to the same college.
Uh-huh.
Even though they were completely different states, ended up going to the same college, and their friends saw one of the other ones and was like talking to them, and they're like, "I don't know who you are."
I picture them running into each other in that whole Spider-Man meme.
You know what's funny? There's a couple guys I work with who they work for the same beer company. They're brothers. Dude, they look identical. They're like a couple years apart, but they look identical. And I was in one of the gas stations, and this guy comes walking through, and I'm like, I hadn't seen him in months. And I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And he goes, "Hey." And I'm like, "Dude, how are you?" And he goes, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, "Oh, come on, man." I was like, "I used to be a receiver over at Smith's." And he was like, "Nope." And I was like, quit messing with me. And I was like, he's like, "Dude, I don't know who you are." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like, I was so baffled. And I was like, he's like, "You're probably thinking of my brother." And I'm like, "Wait, what?"
I like it that it took him that long in the
Right.
conversation to be like, "Oh, you're probably thinking of my twin brother."
Right.
He is screwing with
it
him. You
wasn't
know he
even
does it on
wasn't
purpose.
even his twin though. They're a couple of years apart. And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "You have a brother?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Dude, you guys look identical." And he goes, "No, we're a couple of years apart." I was like, "So your brother delivers to the grocery side?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "And I do the gas stations." And I was like, wow. So but it threw me through a loop. He sat there and stared at me. I was like, "Hey man," I'm like trying to talk to him.
Okay,
He's like, "I don't
the
know
fact
who
that they're
you
not
are."
twins, I guess, kind of explains why he wasn't quick to say, "Oh, you're thinking of my brother."
Yeah.
Well, really, it was him, and he was just like, "I just don't want to talk to you."
That reminds me
Go ahead.
That reminds me of a story. It's kind of off topic, but there was when you had your Accord, your silver Accord.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I was at the Maverick at 700 south or whatever down in Clearfield. And this Maverick pulls up, and the person's looking this way. It was when you had your long hair. And I see the long hair. I go running up to this car, thinking it's you to say hi. And this lady flips her hair, sees me, starts hitting the lock button. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, as I'm like arching back. This lady thought I was gonna murder her. Like, such a jerk.
I thought you were someone else.
That we
She had
have
a man cut. So
we have
Or did Austin have a girl cut?
sixes.
All right.
It's kind of like a Karen.
Flip a coin.
either way they're asking
It was,
for a
it was a
manager.
unisex cut. That was when everybody was doing it back then. The whole
The shag.
Shay. All right.
It's all right.
We have a regular member who comes in that has a twin brother, and one of our first times helping him, he warned us. He's like, FYI, I have a twin brother. If he happens to come into your branch, or it's like, if he comes into your branch and you think it's me and you start talking to him and he kind of gives you a weird look, that's why. I'm like, okay.
he tries to get in my account.
Well, sure enough, I mean, it was a few months later, his twin brother does come in, and like there's identical twins, and then there's like splitting mirror image. These guys sound the same, act the same, look exactly the same. Even their own kids get them mixed up.
The manner,
Like when they have like family get-togethers, their kids get them confused. I was like, oh my gosh.
See, I feel like, most of the time you can always tell something.
I have
Like,
cousins.
I could always tell which one was Tia and which one was Tamara. You can always tell.
I have cousins that are identical twins, and since childhood, I could always tell them apart.
I got friends that are twins, and one of them's really heavy. He likes to drink, and the other one's skinnier. I was like, you guys look like the before and after picture on a Jenny Craig commercial right next to each other.
They should do that.
That's funny.
The
I told them
skinnier
to do that
one
for
wear the bigger
Halloween.
one's pants and like hold him out.
I
Like,
told them they should do it for Halloween.
Heck
They didn't
yeah.
think I was funny. I don't know, man. I don't have a filter sometimes.
they're not true friends then if they didn't think that was funny.
That's hilarious.
So
Okay.
back to the question. Unless what else did you have to say?
I was gonna take a different, like, totally left field spin on this.
Go ahead.
Like, so what if you were like Bruce Wayne, but born to be Superman, and then you found out that you were, and then Superman was born to be Bruce Wayne. and
One's
Batman.
an alien. So
Well, like-
there's that. I'm sorry.
Technically, he's an alien, but he was raised by foster parents.
The foster parents didn't give him super speed and incredible strength.
Okay, oh, that's my point. What if the alien child was raised by the Waynes to be rich,
Holes.
and then
God,
You're raised.
okay, raised by Alfred?
he would have turned into a monster and murdered the world.
You know what? Hey, I will say this.
Valid.
If Superman was raised by the
Alfred.
Waynes, he probably could have stopped that robber from shooting his parents and saved his parents' life.
True,
Oh.
and then he'd be happy.
See, it's like
And
the
then-
it's like the what if. Granted, I haven't watched it, but the what if that
You need
Marvel's
to.
doing. What if DC did it? And it's like Clark Kent's raised by the Waynes,
I'm going to tell you right
He's
now.
done it a
And
couple times.
Some dude in a Batman costume out.
and
thi-
Bruce-
Batman would actually be able to fly.
I think I'm on the same wavelength as Zach. But go ahead.
What?
You said
Oh, sorry. Off subject. Before you go watch Doctor Strange, you're going to want to watch What If. There you go.
I
Sorry,
was
that's
gonna-
all I was gonna
when
say.
you said
Yeah, I thought you
DC.
said I'll tell you what happened. Yeah,
Yeah, you said I'll
Not
tell you what
DC.
would happen.
Did I?
Yes,
Oh,
He
I don't
did.
remember.
I will tell you what would happen. DC would try and make a what if, and it would suck.
It's true.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's exactly what would happen.
it's sad but true.
I want,
I want
They
DC to
actually
work
have
out so
kind
bad.
of done it.
They swing so hard and then miss.
Yeah,
They do.
They made a series called Flashpoint. So, the Flash can travel so fast. Obviously,
which
he
they're turning
basically-
into a movie.
He basically runs into an alternate universe.
Yes, which they're turning
That's
into a movie.
Flashpoint.
Yeah, Flashpoint. Exactly.
Yeah.
And in that, Bruce actually dies, and his dad becomes Batman.
Oh,
So Bruce and his
mom is the
die as
Joker.
a kid. Oh, that's right. She
Yeah.
becomes the Joker.
Yeah.
His mom
And-
does?
Yeah. And so the dad becomes Batman, but he's like even darker.
He
he does
Legit
he does
kills.
kill people.
Yeah.
And like all kinds of other.
And they meet up
Random
like
stuff.
every year on the anniversary of his death at his grave. And
Well, so does Batman in the end when he just stops caring.
does he?
Well, I mean, in the movie he did. He just started blasting people away in the Batwing.
As Ben Affleck.
I'm like, this is against everything.
Martha's my mother's name.
Both of our mothers' names were Martha.
We're friends now, huh?
Do you want to go do karate in the basement? In the garage?
You stole it right out of my mouth.
That whole thing. I was just like, what the hell just happened here?
What's that got to do with anything?
Those were the guys that wrote the Dexter season finale,
Right? Yeah.
and the message from the White House for Christmas.
Fun fact, wait, Cam, wasn't it you telling us that the game? Oh, totally different series, Game of Thrones. The way Game of Thrones ended, how it ended so poorly. Didn't they rush it? Who was telling us?
Yeah. I told you that.
They're
The
probably the
writers
same ones that
rushed
wrote
it.
Dexter and all that. Yeah,
Well,
it's these same
No,
guys.
So the writers
Wait,
rushed
they're the same
it.
guys?
No, it's not.
They should be.
Oh, so listen to this. This is crazy.
Graduate.
So, yeah, Game of Thrones, one of the biggest TV series like ever. The last season was rushed because the two guys that directed and wrote it, they were basically given the opportunity to direct the next Star Wars movie trilogy. And so they hurried
Is
to
it
get
this
done with Game of Thrones.
New trilogy that
Do
hasn't
that,
come out
like
yet.
the Old Republic kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
this
like
one that
a
they're
new
working
movie
on
and
right
stuff.
now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the irony of it all is that because they rushed it and tanked, basically ruined Game of Thrones,
They got
fired
Yes.
from Star Wars.
Serves them right.
Just
for
desserts.
screwing us over so
Yeah.
hard with that finale of Game of Thrones.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yup.
John Favreau's knocking things out of the park on
Yeah,
the
he
series.
is so good.
Yes.
He's a genius.
He's like a modern Lucas, George
Spielberg?
Lucas. No, George Lucas or Steven Spielberg.
Oh, yeah,
just
George
coming
Lucas
out with
too.
the technology. That how they made the Mandalorian. That what do they call that?
Well,
room?
see, the
That's
other thing,
insane.
the other thing though with the Mandalorian is they also have, I can't remember his name, but he is essentially like George Lucas reincarnate. Like,
Yeah.
he knows everything about Star Wars
Yeah.
in and out, just like George Lucas. He was like
director.
his apprentice and
Yeah,
stuff,
yep.
everything. So John Favreau had him be a huge part of it,
He's a genius, man.
and that's why everything is so good.
Well, he's the one that got Marvel kicked off too. He did the
With
first
Iron
Iron
Man.
Man.
well, Favreau did, yeah.
Yeah.
He also did Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah.
Such a good
He
movie.
did Elf.
Yep. Dude, and it just blows my mind that they never thought anything of the things he would do, but he's like iconic now.
Yeah.
The movies
he
he's made.
created a whole new technology, like George Lucas did of filming that whole dome room where they just put certain sections of the what is it? Not a prop, but
the set.
Like
the
the
set, certain pieces of the set, and then put the rest on a back screen, and it's just freaking phenomenal. It's
I
awesome.
actually don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
on Disney Plus, go look up the making. It's like the making of Mandalorian.
Is it the behind the mask or
Whatever
under
it is,
the helmet or
yes,
something?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So they go over how he did it. He made this big giant dome room that's all LED screens. And then they have part of like a ship sticking out, and the rest of the ship is actually the screens. And so the way he did it is it's fascinating. Have you watched it?
Nuh-uh.
The whole watch
I
it.
do know what you're talking
watch
about,
it.
but-
It's cool.
That sounds
My
right.
mind can't comprehend what you're telling me.
You gotta go watch it.
It's the big
I
dome
will have to
room.
watch it. Yeah.
Big sheep, lots of TV.
All right, back to the question.
So
I
There was
knew
a
we were going to go
question?
off the deep end, but I want to come back to the question.
So I wanted to
the undertow is taking
throw
us.
this in there because of what you said earlier. I've been really, really thinking about it.
Okay.
And how you said, like, let's say, yeah, I was supposed to be with the Bezos, but, I was given to the Van Beekums, and that's where my life was led.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, like, yeah, how great would that have been to been into a Bezos family where I'm rich, I don't have to worry about anything. But at the same time, I look at what my parents have done for me up even now as I'm still, a dad to my 3 girls, and what my parents are still trying to do for me and the lessons that they're still trying to teach me. I can't take any of that back. I love my parents so dearly that I I would never trade anything for what my parents have given me and for what they've done for me in this life.
Agreed.
For money.
Yeah.
Like,
We wouldn't have the four of us as friends.
200
exactly.
I would have traded some of those ass kickings for a couple billion.
Okay.
204.
We're talking about Zach's childhood, not yours.
I was having flashbacks. It was
Okay, correction. Okay, maybe you don't have the most awesome parents.
At that point, then yeah. I mean,
What if you had a
Here's-
single mother who
Abused
put her
you
cigarettes
and-
out on your skin?
Then at that point, yeah. Then you
Then
could
he'd
probably
be a serial
you
killer.
But then I think you'd spend the rest of your life chasing what your life should have been instead of fixing
See,
it.
Exactly.
And here's
And
the thing:
you could
is
claim emotional damage, but I mean,
Yeah.
you could.
no
I
matter
don't know.
what happened, like the fact is, it's already done.
Yeah.
And you can't change that.
If you let yourself go down the rabbit hole of what if, your life's over.
Exactly.
Try not to think.
I feel like you
about-
can do that even without being switched at birth.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like, what if I would have gone to college? What if I would have married this girl instead of that girl? You know,
Yeah.
like,
What if always it can take you down a path that in some cases there's no coming back from.
Yeah. Like I said too, you could chase a life that you figured you should have had instead of fixing your own.
Now, here is another question. Would you be curious to meet your paternal family?
Absolutely.
I would.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
would you though?
I've been like,
I
man,
mean-
dodged a
yeah.
bullet. Bunch of dicks. Just kidding.
I think
might not have
it'd
been.
be interesting. Yeah, I think it'd be
You
worth
know-
it to reach out and just to know them. Because again, like biologically speaking, there could be answers to medical mysteries or medical issues that you might have or whatever.
Yeah.
My two cousins were adopted at birth, and they both know, as far as I know, both of them. I know at least one of them does. I'm pretty sure both of them does. Anyways, they know who their original families are, and biological parents are, and they go meet up with them every once in a while, do stuff with them, and I think that's great. Like, but she also, I know the one, she knows fully out, like she doesn't take anything back to what her adoptive parents have done for her, her parents that she grew up with.
She just grows from the new
But
experiences.
yeah, she just grows with the new experiences of what her biological parents can now teach her, as well as, so now she's basically got two families.
Got you.
But they gave her that choice. I believe when they turned 18, they gave them the choice of you can meet them or you don't have to. And
Well, genetically, I mean, you have genetic memory in you. I mean,
Yeah.
your stomach has neurons in it. Your heart has neurons
Well,
in it. So, I mean, when they say go with your gut feeling and stuff like that, that's all genetic for the most part,
well, and she would have figured it out
which is
eventually
where
because
that term came from.
us
So-
Van Beekums are very white and pasty, and she's very dark and
Not to
brown.
mention red hair.
So
Just kidding. Does everybody in your family have red hair?
no,
Just you?
just me.
What
My
does
bad.
that matter? I'm adopted. What?
I thought you have a brother that's
you?
So I'm saying there is a chance.
There might be a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
No,
okay.
my grandma does have red hair, so I've at least got that going.
All right. Another question, flipping it. Say you were the one traded into the rich family, the more better off family. This news comes to light, knowing that someone else was, you have a switcheroo, right? Do you reach out to meet your mom, and what does that situation look like?
Probably.
I think I would. Even
Curiosity.
I would even reach out to, I guess, brother in quotations or sister.
Yeah,
even though you're
that's
not,
what I was gonna say. It was like I don't know what to call them because they're not really.
they're
your
not
brother.
really brother, but yeah, I would even reach out to them, and I would honestly try to make things work. I would maybe offer them, like let's say this guy's a real
Monies?
estate, like let's say this guy's a real estate mogul, and maybe I would offer him a job or something like that. Like, hey, come work for me.
Oh, Daddy,
try
can
to
we
help
give
him
the
out.
poor siblings some money?
I want to give him money. I want to say, here, take all the money, get out of here.
You
I
might
mean, I
know.
would reach out and I would honestly try to be caring and helpful.
I
and,
would.
hey, yeah, your life sucks right now. I want to try to help.
I mean, like,
If you would allow me to help.
how crazy would it be? Like, you're well off, and all of a sudden you find out your mom is like this, just barely getting by person, living in like the slums.
I'd take care of her.
And you're
I
like,
would. I would
That would
try
be
my
the
hardest.
craziest thing.
It would be. If I was in the position, I would. I'd go help her out.
Yeah. In
I mean,
hopes
you
that
wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. Technically, you know, I mean,
in hopes that she would actually be caring about it instead of trying to take advantage. Because who knows?
Yeah,
She
you
could,
never know.
She could look at it as you're not my son, even though
Or
biologically
she
you
could
are.
look
You're
at
not
it
my
like-
son, and I'm just going to take advantage
think-
and get
Or
your
like
money.
you owe me.
any
Yeah.
mom, I think, would be curious though if they found that out. I think they'd be curious to see
Yeah.
what their biological child was like.
Isn't it weird though that we immediately, without even really questioning it, we jump to the concept of money?
That's usually what it's all about.
Isn't that crazy though?
That's the
like,
world we
isn't
live
that
in.
sad?
Uh-huh.
The unfortunate way
But
the world works.
See, and I immediately turned that away to just like the emotional part of it. How it would mess with me that way. It
Yeah.
would mess with me
Yeah.
big time.
I think also, no matter what, the grass is always greener. So even if you were well off and rich, but you found out that you were someone else's kid,
You'd want to be a Bezos.
you'd still want to like look into it. I feel
Do you think
like
if
you wouldn't
were-
just go, "Oh, I'm well off. I don't need.
Yeah,
need
I'm
another one.
set. We're good."
I'm fine." Jeffrey, bring the orders.
Caviar.
Do you think finding out that you had your biological mother was the single mother, would you look for your father?
Me personally, I would. I'd like try to fill in all the because there all of a sudden there'd be all these pieces of the puzzle missing that I'd just
Well,
want to figure out.
I would ask biological mother who the father is, and if she says, "Well, your dad walked out to go get cigarettes and never came," we went to the grocery store to go get some cigarettes and never came home, I'd be like, "Peace out."
He smoked.
What
Oh.
if she doesn't
No.
know who the father is?
I mean, if she just said, "Yeah, he walked out on me and never saw him again," I'd be like,
You still wouldn't want to
"Peace
meet
out."
him?
No,
I would.
no.
Just to call him a dick. I would. I really would.
Even that, yeah, I guess.
I'd
Yeah.
be like, you flaunted all your responsibility and
Could
ran
be like
off.
on Waterboy, Roberto.
Roberto!
It's me, your daddy. I saw you playing on the ESPN. It's just a crazy thing to have happened, man.
Yeah.
I try and I saw that, and
What would you do?
I don't know. Man. I mean, I definitely want to meet my parents,
Yeah.
but I mean, as far as money goes, I mean, that's hard to say. You
Yeah.
know, it would be weird to put yourself in the position of I could have been X, but I also like to think that you are your own limiting factor.
Agreed.
Sure, there are people who have the help to get, the additional help.
They give you the discipline.
But if you have the drive, I feel like everyone is capable of anything.
I agree.
So here's also my other thing. Let's say the hospital reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you come in? We need to talk to you." And if they said, "Hey, you know what? You were switched at birth. This is an unfortunate mistake. We want to share with you who your biological parents would be." Honestly, I'd probably look at them and say, "I don't want to know."
I wouldn't.
I think it would be too difficult to understand that. I'd probably say, "You know what? This is my life as it is. Thank you for telling me, but I don't want to know."
I'd ask him to give it to me in a sealed envelope, and then it's if I decide to open it.
I'd be like, I'm 70 years old. Why the F would you tell me now?
Yeah, they're dead. And I can't even.
Well, I mean, just to right the wrong or whatever. But as soon as that box got opened for me, I'd be all over it.
Yeah.
I was
looking
I think
into it.
curiosity
Throwing a fire.
would make me.
Yeah. There's no way I wouldn't
just-
look into it.
I just think at the end of it all, your life is what it is, and it's just
It
leave
wouldn't
at
change
that.
me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't change me or anything. I'd understand that I am who I am, but at the same time, yeah, I'd be curious as hell. I'd figure it out.
I mean, on the last flip side too, is you have the belief that you were meant for the life that you were given.
Yeah.
And so perhaps this was on purpose,
Yeah.
if you believe in a higher being. So I don't know.
I'm a firm believer that the cards you get dealt are for a purpose.
So
Whether we know what that purpose
Samesies.
is right now or in the next life to come,
yeah.
I don't know, but there is a purpose for everything. And
I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, we
Even
do have
nipples
free
on
will.
dudes.
Some people just screw up, and then it's your free will to figure it out.
Yeah.
We do have free will, but that's why I'm
But
saying
you can't go
there's
back
a purpose.
either.
No,
Like,
exactly.
You can't like hold on to remorse or anything. But I would, going forward, I'd like to include all that into my life. I mean, I'm always trying to progress in life, right?
Yes.
And that'd be part of progressing. Is just for me. As soon as I found that, if I shut that off, if I
But
heard,
I would also be scared at the point where it's like these are your biological parents, and if you do find out, what if you try to reach out to them and they say, "I don't care who you
well,
are,"
then you tried,
and they deny you? Like I think that would hurt more than anything else.
like an ignorance is bliss thing.
But how crazy would it be if you went over there and you find out you have the same weird nicks,
Yeah,
right? Like you're like, I do that.
Yeah.
You know, like you see him
Yeah.
doing something and you're like, what?
It'd be wild. That'd be
Yeah,
wild.
you're like, I don't know.
We did kind of say it earlier. This is pretty much Elf in a nutshell. So,
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, except they always knew that he wasn't one of
but
them.
he didn't.
But at the same time,
That's because he was dumb.
from what you said though, if you went and talked to them, they said we want nothing to do with you. At least you'd be like, well, maybe I dodged a bullet at that point too.
That's true.
you
yeah.
know.
So,
Well,
kind of flipping it a little bit. What if the hospital, so how you said, what if the hospital called you up and you're the parents and they said, this is like 5 years down the road. And it's like, hey, so we just realized your child you just had 5 years ago isn't actually your biological child.
that's crazy.
That's
that
hard.
throws a whole different wrench in the monkey business there because
Oh my gosh.
I
you've got that bond with that 5-year-old.
would
Right.
exactly. I would still say
I hate that question.
Oh my
That
gosh.
throws it off completely.
You're
That's
50-year-old, all right? You get
I like it.
50-year-old is not your kid.
That's
I like that
crazy.
because
Yeah, I do too.
I look at Ronnie right now. She just turned 6, so that's right in that
Alden
same age.
too.
Yeah.
That's- yeah.
And Ronnie is my child.
Yeah.
And I don't care if the hospital came to me tomorrow and said, listen, we apologize, but she got switched at birth. Ronnie is not your child. I'd look at him and say, screw you. She is my child.
Okay.
What would, the
Actually,
law, what would the law do with that though?
Huh?
Let me
What would the law
say
do?
it this way. What if you get the phone call, you go to the hospital, there's another family standing there, the other parents, and they're like, your child actually belongs to these parents and they want it back.
Oh, I don't like where this is going.
Nope.
Oh, that makes
I
my
would
stomach drop.
fight-
Alden is
nope.
my kid. I would fight
Yep,
tooth and
I
nail.
would fight tooth and
I'd
nail.
And
like,
then
I'll
your
take
kids
them
look
both.
at you and they go, I want to meet my real parents.
Because I would tell my kid. I'd be like, listen,
What
here's
would
the deal.
what would the obligation be? What
I
would
am
the
their real
law
parent,
say
so-
at that point?
The law, that's the hard part.
I
Is the law.
think-
That's where the law gets in.
That's when you take
Is
them
it like
before King
possessions
Solomon.
9/10 or they cut him in half?
They cut it in half.
I get the top half.
Seriously, what would like in the law's eye? What would
I think they'd give the. I think they'd make you.
would they force a
I mean,
trade?
here-
If the
here's-
biological parents want it
yes,
back.
I bet they would.
here's to throw a wrench in. Let's say you got switched and their 5-year-old kid came down with cancer or something and passed away. And then they find out that
well,
wasn't
now
their,
we're just going dark.
I'm just saying, but then they find out that
Pretty
that
sure there's a
wasn't their
movie like
kid,
that.
but that you actually have their kid, and now they have that empty spot of not having a kid, and they want their biological kid back.
Did you ever watch
If they
Fringe?
wanted what was best for the child, if they wanted what was best for the child,
You would leave them with the
you would leave them.
yes, you would leave them. be.
Yes, I
But
think so.
There are people who don't want what's best for the child; they want what's best for them,
Which is a lot of people.
and
yeah.
they want to fill that gap with what they know is theirs.
oh my
So
gosh.
Be
I
like,
saw
well,
this
you got to
movie.
replace it with something of equal or greater value.
Corvette C9 Stingray. I'm just kidding. I'm just
So
kidding.
I saw this movie a while back. I think it was called
Tony
Deep-
didn't. He was like,
He's like, maybe.
We gotta hurry and get off the subject.
I got
which one
4
I'm gonna
kids,
pick.
man. Oh, yeah. Which one do you want?
I can get a 4-car garage instead. I'm okay with that.
I would never give up my kid.
I saw this movie a while back called Deep End of the Ocean. It's with Michelle Pfeiffer. Her child gets kidnapped at like infant age.
yeah, I put that on my Voodoo. I
Yeah.
needed to watch it.
Child gets kidnapped at like infant age. The kidnapper, though, raises the child as if it's its own. Years later, the child's now a teenager. She finds the child, knows that it's hers, and they go through, kidnapped it, blah blah blah. So she gets it back, but the child doesn't want her because the child was in love with the parents that had raised it.
Can I correct you?
Oh, please.
The person's not an it. You keep calling the kid an it.
Did it
She gets it
decide
back.
what it is?
I'm just saying it.
He himself.
Me, that would be a different situation because what they
Gets
did in the
it back.
initial thing was very wrong and intentional.
But I guess okay. So take away the
But it'd break
kidnapping
your
in this.
heart.
What if?
Well,
what
no,
if
you
the whole
can't. Hold
situation?
on. Let's answer that one first. So with that, I would.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So with that, you would have that right, and it would kill you. But I think in the long run, they'd understand later on.
Yeah.
Not at that time, because teenagers are jerks anyway. They just are. We all. At some point, right?
I was a jerk.
I know. I think of how ignorant I was,
boy.
but
Yeah. Uh-huh.
they'd learn.
You?
And then you raise.
I was very kind. I was a good boy.
Tuxedo boy. Okay.
They provoked us.
But yeah, in that situation, I take them, and even if they hated me, I just tried to do the best I could until they were old enough to make their own decision about it, and they could go visit those other parents in jail.
So take away the kidnapping part of it. Then I guess my point of that was, what if the whole hospital thing? They say, oh, your child actually belongs to them. Your child doesn't want to go to them, wants to stay with you. Like, I'm curious where that would go. Do they even let the kid decide, or it's like, nope, sorry, these are your biological
minors
parents?
don't have a choice.
Minors
in
don't
that.
really have a choice.
It sucked.
Is that really like you wouldn't have? You raised a kid for
The
5
judge
years.
can take it into consideration, but
Yeah.
they really
What
don't
if they're
have
like
a choice.
16, 17, pushing adulthood?
I think at that
and-
point they do. I think it's after
Yeah.
14 or 15 they do start having a
was-
choice.
16.
Could be 16.
And at that age, they just do it out of spite.
I feel like
don't
just
wanna live in your house.
like-
Okay,
anymore.
without the kidnapping, if they're 16 and it was my kid, I wouldn't. I just say when you're an adult, come talk to me or something. I don't know, because I'd still
I
want to
feel
get
like
to
by
know them.
default, if you find out that your 5-year-old is not your kid and you want to switch them back, you don't get either of them, and the other family gets both.
If you're the one who does that, yeah,
Yeah, because if you have a 5-year-old and you're so quick to be able to like, oh yeah, take this one, you're not a good parent in the first
but at the
place.
same
Right.
time,
Again,
they'd
blood-
be my
blood
kid.
doesn't matter.
They'd be my kid.
Let's be honest, blood
Yeah,
does not
But it does matter in the fact that is your blood over there too.
But
Yeah.
I'd want them
but-
both. I would want them both. I'd be like, I get both of them.
But again, like after 10
You can have
years of living
visitation rights.
with one person,
I get it.
how is the one that it has your blood more your child?
It's not more your child,
It's not.
but still, it's
Because what if the one you've raised for the
Biologically
5
child.
years is a little shit?
Oh man, this is,
then you.
then that's a result of terrible parenting.
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, at
Well,
the end of the
sometimes they're
day, if
just shits,
something
though,
like
too.
that happened,
You just correct. Of course,
I
correct.
would want updates. Like,
Yes.
if I knew that I had a child out
Just
there
keep
that
me
was
in the
mine,
loop.
that was at some other's family,
But
I'd say,
why?
you know what? Like,
Like
for
what?
instance, like Ronnie, I'd be like, Ronnie is my child.
I try to work out
Biologically,
visitation.
maybe she's not, but Ronnie is my child. If I knew that there was another child, I would say, I want updates. Like, let's make this an even thing. I'd want to know what's going
Would
on
you
in
want
their
to set
life.
up like play dates and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would want to do like
Yeah.
visitation.
Visitation,
Okay,
play,
okay.
stuff like that.
So you
Yeah.
get the call that your child was switched at birth. Okay, you're thinking about it for months, trying to figure out what to do. Right. Then you get the call. Oh, just kidding. We were wrong. You actually had him in the right place in the first place. Are you now just going to immediately drop any feelings you had about the
Absolutely
other
not.
child?
no.
But why? The blood's not there.
Yeah.
No,
That's
at
a-
the same time, I would try to heal
How
up on
long?
that.
How
I
much
don't know.
further? How much further? Say never mind. We were just kidding.
Just like few months, maybe a year. I don't know. Like
You
just
could
enough
develop a
time that
relationship
you
with that
just
kid
enough
in a
time that
year
you
or
have
two.
to have this thought in your head.
Yeah. At the same, I
daily.
mean, there's a relationship that could be built there, and I think you could still build upon that.
But she's not. But the other child's not your blood. Everything was
Use
fine.
that as
You
an
have your own.
opportunity to make some new friends, and you got
Yeah.
a friend for your kid.
Yeah.
And it's
see,
an
but
interesting.
that's-
It's an interesting story down the
I
road
get
when
what
they
you're.
say.
I get
see
what
what
you're
I'm saying?
saying.
When they say, "How'd you guys meet?" Oh,
if they
well, we
say
thought
it's
we were
your
switched
blood-
at birth, but we weren't, and we became really good
I
friends.
think I would have that instinct of that is my kid too, and it's my responsibility to be a part of that kid's life. I think that's where
But
it
why?
would come in. Because if it's biologically your kid, I don't know, man. It's a natural thing, I guess. It's my monkey brain coming in. I don't know. Would you?
I agree with Chris. I would want.
I would have that
even
obligation.
though I would feel like
Set.
I would be obligated to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But
I
you
would
had
want-
no idea they existed before.
Yeah, but now you do, though.
But now you do.
But it turns out they're
Immediately.
not actually your blood anymore.
Okay, let's quit doing this crap.
I'm just saying.
No, I
like,
get that.
You're throwing your fights out there where you keep asking questions. I don't
I
like
want
it.
to know the answers.
No, I get it. No, it's valid. I mean, it's very thought provoking, but
This is how he wins his fights.
yeah.
By
would
making you think
So
you can actually answer.
Keep asking questions on top of questions.
So that's
It's the same
that's
question.
yeah. So that's where I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how I would react to that point. I know how I'd react to that point. You know what I mean? So I know if I found out that that was my blood and my kid, I would have that fatherly instinct to where it's a responsibility of mine to know what's going on with that kid and make sure they're okay for the rest of their life. But if they said, "Oh, just kidding," I don't know. I mean,
Like
it depends
it's
on
kind of
how
like
your
what if like
relationship
an
develops with them.
ex-girlfriend said like, "Hey, I'm pregnant. It's your baby," and then it's like
Pee on this stick.
like later, then it's like later. It's like, "Oh, just kidding. It's not your baby." It's kind of that same like
Go to that paternal test, that judge.
Oh
Remember
yeah,
that video I sent you
Yeah.
forever ago?
Maori.
But if they
Maori.
said it was your baby and you raised that baby for 2 years, in my mind that's your kid.
I actually watched a little video on this the other day, and it was same thing in front of the judges, and the came back negative as a paternity test that he wasn't the father, and the mom like exclaimed like "Woohoo, great!" And the judge actually like went off on her.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Excuse me?" She was like, "You got this guy over here who has done nothing but care for this child, and now you're excited because he's not the father, but yet now what are you going to tell this child? That this isn't your dad and I don't know where your dad is when all he's done is be a dad to this kid?"
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like, you can't take that away. I mean,
Like if someone came to me and said Micah wasn't my kid, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would
nah,
do.
she's still your kid.
I go to
like
prison.
she would, I would like go
Yeah.
to prison for her.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. It's like Cam said, blood has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Blood is just a,
Unless it's the other way,
Test.
then blood does have something to do with it.
well, yeah.
Like we discussed. You know what I mean? It's weird. That's really how I feel, though. Like, even if.
Well, I mean, Cam has the best argument here because he's got a child that's not
Yeah.
biologically his child.
We're still trying to figure out mine.
But she's
She's still
my
your
child.
kid.
Oh yeah.
Then you're
100%.
splitting
She's still your kid, and let's say biological father came back and wanted her back, you would do everything in your power to fight for
Of
her.
course.
Yep. Well, and have you heard the saying "blood is thicker than water"?
Yeah.
Do you know what it actually means?
Nope.
So, what does it mean to you when you hear "blood is thicker than water"?
That family is more important than.
It's actually not that. It means the
Story
blood
time.
of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. So the
covenant
covenant,
thing,
the
yeah.
oath that you make with the people you love who aren't biologically connected to you is better than the ones that you are biologically connected to. As in, like, you can create and cultivate a relationship that's truly strong when you could have a deadbeat dad or a deadbeat mom or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're your blood, they're your family, but they aren't good for you. They don't raise you, they don't
Yep.
love you, they don't treat you well.
Like Michael Orr.
Who?
Michael Orr?
He
the
was the blindside tackle for
Blindside?
the Baltimore
Oh,
Ravens.
yeah.
Remember?
Yep.
His
Sandra
mom-
Bullock raised him right.
His mom treated him like crap. And he kept trying going back and wanted to be with her, but eventually he realized that his family was, I can't remember their names.
Was a rich white family.
Exactly.
So, pretty much this whole discussion, I realized I'm a hypocrite. But I'm okay with it.
Why?
Because we go over the blood thing and everything. I'm like,
No, I think at the end of the day, it in my heart, it comes down to like the love I have for somebody
yes.
and how I treat them and how I am with them is supersedes any kind of blood relation.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same time,
Like family should
if I found
be,
out there was blood out there,
They
I would
should
want to
be.
cultivate that relationship with them.
yeah.
So,
And like I get that.
I just want my
definitely
cake
get
and eat
that.
it
You're
too.
like you're somehow you are connected to them in some
Yeah.
bond.
well, it's just it'd be an obligation to me at that point.
What if that kid turns into a serial killer?
Well, then I'd be the one to put a bullet in him.
Oh,
He's my responsibility.
And with that,
I'm just kidding.
We went full circle back
Just
to Dex.
kidding. I mean, I'm talking when he's a teenager.
I mean, he
okay?
did-
I mean,
he
nobody
did-
cares. Just
Harrison did end it, and he was blood.
That was son to father. Chris is talking father to son.
What's the difference?
You're not supposed to outlive your kid, man. That's like rule number 1. I gotta let this kid outlive me.
That's the definition of being a parent. Just let this kid outlive me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I'm still trying to think of like what I would do. I feel like just as a
Loaded.
caring person,
Yeah.
I would want
Yeah.
to care for, I mean, obviously my kids here, but also like if I were to find out that my kids were switched at birth, I would still want to care and nurture and take care of them.
Yeah.
But you would want
Yeah.
both of them.
I'd want
Yes.
those parents to be the opposite of me, to where they didn't care and I just ended up with both of them.
Yeah.
That's how I'd want it
But
to be.
most likely,
Yeah.
they'd be just like
Well,
you and
yeah.
want both too.
but I'd want to.
Well, then that's when we go to prison.
Could you imagine how awkward meeting up for play dates would be?
Yeah.
Because then like you'd see the kids playing and you'd be like, that's my kid.
Right? And pointing out each other. Oh, your kid does. I do that too.
But
Your kid's just
then,
like
but
me.
then when you
Oh,
like
yeah.
go to leave, you're like,
I think mentally though, I don't know if that would connect that way.
It'd be weird.
I think your heart would still connect to the kid that you've had all along.
Well, of course, but
And-
logically you could
But
see
logically,
things.
you could see it. But at the end of the day, when you're leaving with your kid, you're leaving with your kid.
Of course.
You would still want to cultivate that relationship with the other family.
I'm taking both kids.
Right?
I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I just took them both.
That would be my thing is I would like to cultivate a relationship with the other family and that kid
Yeah.
if they would allow me to. But at the
Yes.
end of the day, the kid I went home with from the hospital and 10 years later, that's
my kid.
My kid.
How bad would it suck if the one that was your biological kid and you became friends with the family just so you could be close to that kid, you found out that the parents were just total douches.
That would suck.
That would hurt.
That would suck.
And you after
to
you
jail.
after you go after you play at the playground or whatever and you go your separate ways and you have to watch your biological kid walk away with those douchebags.
Now,
And
you know,
they like spank the kid or something.
Yelling
Yeah.
at him and stuff. I'd be pissed.
let me
Oh,
just
yeah.
throw-
Don't get me
that's,
wrong.
that's making
Don't
my
get me
blood
wrong.
boil just thinking about it. I'm ready to go.
We'd plan a heist, and we'd all go get that kid for each
I'd be
other.
like, fellas, I need you. So
all I'm driving.
we got to buy
What are
another
you
van.
driving away from?
They'll never catch us. You know they will.
Let me just throw this out there, though. If I found out that my third child was supposed to be a boy and they
Say
swapped
it
it,
was, say it
and I was a
was.
girl, I'd tell them, you know what, I want my boy back. Just kidding. No.
Sorry, Rod.
Just kidding, kind of.
See, I'd look at Karen and be like, see, I told you I was supposed to have a boy. You did this on purpose, didn't you?
She switched them.
She switched them.
There you go.
I mean,
what
yeah.
if you found out your wife did it?
Oh, I'd be so pissed.
knowingly.
I wouldn't be married.
Nope, we
I
wouldn't
knew
be
there was a
married.
reason I didn't like Kara.
Baby switcher.
Just had to.
I had to.
Well, that concludes this podcast. I figured it would be a crazy conversation, and it was.
It was good.
Round and round we go.
I'm
was good.
seriously, I've literally, since I've read that, my mind's just been like, what would I do?
Dude, that's loaded.
It's a very crazy question.
Yeah.
So, any of your answers, put them all down below. I'd really be curious to read through them.
Yeah.
Hard thing is, we really can't say what we would do until it really actually happened.
Oh, that's true.
I know up to a point.
Yes.
And then
there's
after
a lot of
that, it's-
speculation. There's a lot of
There's a lyric from 21 Pilots that I've always really liked.
Fly like paper, get high like
And
planes.
no, that
No.
is not them.
Oh, I don't know.
Booty, 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 rocking everywhere.
Also a good song.
no, that's not them.
But no, they talk about there's this line where they say like it's something like I take a bullet for them, a bullet for you, a bullet for everybody coming through. But or then it says, but there don't seem to be many bullets coming through. Metaphorically, I'm the man, but literally, I don't know that. So in this exact situation, metaphorically,
That doesn't rhyme.
we could answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
until it actually
Yeah.
happens, we have no true idea of what we would do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, going off of my principles right now, I think
Yeah.
I have it pretty close to a point.
Now-
And then after that, when you threw that wrench in, I don't.
Okay, now here's the other question. Say you do meet it for a play date and their parents are absolute angels.
But that kid is a dick.
No.
That's a good point, though. What if the kid's a little douche?
I mean, that is a feasible thing. But say,
I'm good. We don't need to see each other anymore.
but say you show up, parents are angels, kid is an angel. Would you still want to be in their life knowing that potentially down the road you could cause a rift? In that, like,
yeah,
if they find out that their parents aren't their parents, like that could cause a mental problem in the child.
You all knew.
If they're angels, they would know. They'd tell them at an appropriate time.
What
Exactly.
if?
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What if
and
the-
give you some comfort, but I still. And
Like,
this
would
is
you
maybe
cut
I get-
yourself out of that kid's life just to make sure?
that he's okay? The kid's okay?
If-
If
if
you knew
it
it was
meant-
100% best thing for the kid for you not to
Yes,
be
I
involved,
would cut
yes.
myself out of his life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I gotta say, Jenny.
Oh, that hurts.
Jenny has a cousin. Jenny has a cousin who got pregnant, and at the time, she couldn't afford the baby. Like she just was in a bad place in her life. Gave it up for adoption, but it was the type of adoption where right out the gate, that baby knew it was adopted. She stayed in his life. The parents would send her photos. Once
an
the
open
baby
adoption.
was. Yeah, is that
Open,
just
yeah.
open adoption? So
Yeah.
the baby knew the whole time, 100%, that okay, this is my mom, but these are my parents. Like, and so in that particular story, it's like I would just say if the parents are angels, child's an angel, everything's wonderful. It's like I would just be like, you know what, I am your father, but these are your parents.
Yeah.
They're the ones raising you right. They're the ones from the beginning. And I would
That'd
just
be
have it
tough.
be open from the
But a
beginning.
kid would have a hard time understanding that too, is what you're getting at with that.
But I guess my point is if it's from a young enough age, they wouldn't know any different.
True. Valid.
What you got, Cam?
I'm about to throw a wrench.
Oh
No, no more
we were
wrenches.
just about to end this.
Last wrench.
I've
okay?
dodged the wrench.
Okay, you
I've
ready for
dodged
this?
the ball.
You ready for this? The kid you got to take home, total dick.
I said this already, and
On
you
the
guys all
board.
said,
Wait,
bad parenting.
Wait. So
Let's
you
take it-
literally have just like a dick with balls?
Have you seen that picture?
No.
It's like a bathroom sign.
Oh, I said
and it's
that.
actually a baby. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's like finally a bathroom for me and my giant. Yeah. No,
Anyways.
okay. We're talking like
Kid's
cow.
we're
big veiny
talking
dick. Gotcha.
Damien from The Omen, like dickish.
Bad parenting.
And then you find out that he ain't yours. What do?
I go to prison.
You walk up to the parents. You're like, hey, you know what? Here.
No.
That's when you go to
Here
the
you go.
That's when you go to the grocery store and forget.
Oh my gosh.
They can't tie you back to blood. They can't do a DNA test.
That's not my kid. Test me. Here's a
Reminds me
hair.
of-
I'll
You
spit a
walked in
tube.
together.
Put
the
him in a
kid
shopping
followed
cart.
me.
Be free.
Hey, that kind of reminds me of the movie The Good Son. Did you ever see that
with
with Macaulay Culkin and
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood? Old movie, but basically, if I remember right, it's been so long since I've seen it. Macaulay Culkin. So
He's
Elijah Wood's parents pass away, and he's sent to
Something like
live.
that.
He's sent to live with his.
He's like a cousin or something.
Yeah, so he's sent to live with his like his aunt or whatever. Anyways, Macaulay Culkin is like an evil child. He will do anything to make it all about himself.
Basically, take Kevin McAllister, but like against innocent people.
Okay.
Yeah. And so basically what he starts doing throughout the show is because he starts sensing that his mom, so he had a little brother that I think he killed. And then he starts sensing that his mom is showing a little bit more love to Elijah Wood because, of course, of everything he's gone through. He starts getting jealous and wants to try to start killing Elijah Wood. His mom actually catches on. End of the movie, spoiler alert, they're both hanging from a cliff and she can only save one.
She's literally got each kid hanging from
Yeah.
one hand.
And she can only save one and she actually lets her son fall. and she chooses
So
her,
she can use both hands to save Elijah
her
Wood.
nephew because she knows that her son is evil.
I mean,
She wants to keep the good genes going on in life. I get it. Yeah.
right?
I might
Chris
have
already
I might
answered
have
it,
butchered
okay?
that
Chris
show, but
already-
that's
With that, we're going to go
potentially.
into Darwin Awards now. just kidding.
Macaulay Culkin for being a douche.
So it's like a thriller movie. That's
Yes.
crazy.
It's a
Yeah.
good one. It honestly is.
All
Yeah,
right.
'cause he-
We're ending this. We're ending this. And with that, thank you guys.
I got a wrench.
This is where he just starts
No
yanking.
more
He
wrenches.
just starts yanking
just a little
microphones.
screwdriver. I got a little screwdriver.
Oh, guys. Click it up. If you made it this far, please make sure, if you're not already, if you're new here, hit that subscribe. Huge shout out and thanks to all of our paying supporters and
Yeah.
members, whatever they're all called across all the platforms. Thank you so much. Your monetary support means the world to us here. We love you. We thank you. And we'll see you guys here next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for being part of this crowd.
Love you guys.
Bye.